You're listening to Kizuki, the podcast. I'm Mae Yoshikawa, and I define the Japanese concept of Kizuki as the following. Kizuki. 1. A moment of epiphany, an aha of realization or insight which opens the knower to a new dimension of truth that was formerly unknown. 2. Steps in an incremental growth of awareness, resulting in a movement from ignorance to greater awareness of the bigger picture. A kind of knowing that cannot be undone, that cannot be unrealized. As a longtime yoga and meditation practitioner, a world traveler, and curious self-explorer, I'm obsessed with Kizukis. Listen on each week for inspiring and enlightening stories that may just tip you over for your next aha. On this week's episode, trust the process. Do you ever feel like you have a whole other world going on inside of you? You know, on most days, on almost all days, I'm a decent mom. I'm a good person. I do my work. I have lovely people that I work with. I work well with them. I have good friends. You know, I'm a decent, proper human being, especially coming from Japan, a culture that's huge on social harmony and not sticking out and, you know, being that good, decent, average citizen. On the inside, however, more often than not, perhaps, I have a whole other world going on. It's my internal world, my mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual world. It's very vivid, actually. It got to be somewhat of a norm for me, especially diving into my practice of yoga and meditation, journaling, self-reflection, self-inquiry, self-study. On this journey of learning more about myself, I think initially it was about figuring it all out so that I can save myself from the struggle of the moment. And then it evolved to curiosity about my highest potential, who I am and who I was born to be, my dreams even. Currently still, it's a mixture of the dreams and aspirations, as well as wanting to move beyond the struggle, the suffering sometimes of human existence. I recently heard something that struck a chord with me in a different way than it ever has before. And it was from the teacher Adyashanti, who is an American teacher, but he's comes from Zen Buddhist tradition. What I love about him when he teaches is that he's so kind and compassionate and grounded in his centeredness. And at the same time, he's very American and modern. So the way that he speaks and the language that he uses is very accessible and a lot of times funny when I'm listening to him. I heard a woman go up to him in this audio recording, and she was very much stuck. She felt, you know, that feeling you get when you feel like just pulling all your hair out because you're trying so hard. Maybe you're trying too hard and you want it to work somehow. You want to change and you want things to change and you're doing everything you can, but you feel like you're banging your head against the wall and it's not even happening on the outside. It's all happening on the inside because it's happening psychologically. It's happening in your interior world. Well, this woman goes up to the teacher Adyashanti and she says to him, quite frankly, on the verge of tears, it feels like a death, like a crucifixion even, because it's basically the death of her old self, except she doesn't really know yet what lies beyond. And in that desperation, she goes up to Adyashanti and says, well, can you tell me anything? Can you tell me anything about the dissolution of my ego, the false self, and who I am to be beyond this? And very gently, Adyashanti says, I'm afraid I don't know about the dissolution of the ego. First of all, what do you even mean by ego? What are you referring to? And he kind of intricately and in a very neutral manner, true to the middle path, as the Buddhists would say, treads along the path of her mind and her heart, her mental agony, and describes to her that what she is going through, this phase of moving beyond who she used to be and not yet knowing who she is becoming, and what this process entails for her, that it's a completely normal and necessary part of the spiritual process. He says that many people, when they're learning about themselves, sometimes they can have moments of clarity and awakening and bliss even, like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. This is how peaceful it's meant to be. And then it feels like, ooh, we go all the way back to the beginning. Suddenly, we have to go in slow motion through every step of the onion layer that needs to be peeled back. So he likens it to having a glimpse of the final letter of the alphabet Z, and then having to go all the way back to A, and then instead of leaping all the way forward to the end, to go through the slow motion, necessary, very human and active process of A, B, C, D. What does this look like in your daily life when you apply these spiritual principles and mindfulness and these things that you're learning about yourself and your life? What does it look like in your daily life as you apply them step by step? So I appreciated this conversation so much. And in the final piece of that, because this woman is looking so hard, just clinging to any answer, and he says to her, there isn't really a step-by-step recipe, kind of an answer that I can give to you. If there was, I would give it to you, but it just doesn't work that way, right? Because consciousness, awareness, our minds are not finite, measurable things that we're working with. So in the final end of that audio clip, he says to this woman, it sounds a bit cliche, but he says to her, the best thing to do at this part of the unfolding of your process is just to trust in the process. Now, if you're anything like me, I've heard that like dozens of times, maybe even hundreds of times. Trust the process and surrender and let go when you don't know what to do because you feel like you're going crazy in your own head and you've just tried everything you can, but you feel like you're not getting anywhere. It's like, let go, surrender, trust the process. But I gotta tell you, the phrase, trust the process, although it makes a lot of sense and I understood it in my head, I don't think it ever really landed, as they say in Japanese, like "funi ochiru," like it didn't land in the bottom of my gut until I heard Adyashanti follow it with this phrase: no one does it perfectly. It's messy. And somehow for me, that just made the whole idea of trusting the process settle better in my system, because I think as a modern urban Tokyo girl, our left brains, our organized, rational thinking has us thinking that even this internal process of growth and evolution and awakening, we hope somehow, we almost automatically hope that it's going to be neat and organized and, not too messy, right? But when it comes to that piece of, banging your head against the wall and, okay, it's time to let go. It's time to surrender. It's time to trust the unfoldment process that's already happening within you and on the outside, and it's happening to perfection if you could just see the unseen. If you could just have a little bit of faith, right? But the faith bit, the trust bit, it's messy. And no one does it perfectly. It's like, I imagine, it's like swimming in the ocean. You can't go to the ocean and expect to not get sand between your toenails. And, maybe occasionally you jump in and you step on some rock or coral, or you get a little scratch on your toe or something. It's not like jumping in a controlled environment like a pristine swimming pool. It's like you're diving in to Mother Ocean. And I'm just, I really relate with this woman that went up to him, because I get that. I get how hard it can be to be banging our heads within ourselves. But to trust the process is also to allow it to be messy and to be okay with the messiness. And I just love that. It's just like an exhale, like, okay, no one does it perfectly. We just go with the flow and see how it goes, right? There's no order or neatness to that. I don't know who that's for, but if it resonates with you, I hope you can be encouraged by the fact that I'm on the same boat as you. Thank you for listening. Learn more about me in my upcoming book, Kizuki, Realizations Beyond Time and Death, at my website, maey.live, or find me on Instagram at maeyoshiKawa.